Hey, welcome back to the shop, friends. In the last episode, we laid out the mortises on the bases of the uprights, and we also drilled out as much of the waste as we could. Since the last episode, I went ahead and I completed the mortise on 2 of the 3 upright bases. And today, we're going to finish the 3rd upright base mortise, and then we'll go ahead and attempt to dry fit the frame. So in the past, when I was chiseling out mortises without the workbench, I had to clamp the piece or the stock to a table or a bench using regular clamps, and it was a real pain. Using the vise on my new workbench has been a really big improvement. The more material that you can chisel out definitely makes removing the waste with the chisel much faster. If I had a 1.5" auger bit, that would have made things a lot easier. But I don't think I would have been able to turn an 1.5" bit very easily with a brace. I think generally when you get over 1 inch in diameter, then you require a mortising machine. Periodically, I like to turn it over and empty out as much of the waste that we cut as we can. That way it's easier to see what we've cut loose and what we haven't. This size mortise, I usually alternate between the 1.5" and my 1 inch chisel. The 1 inch fits into some of the tight spaces a little bit better. Corners can be a little bit of a challenge to get your chisel into. I actually have a corner chisel that I'm planning to restore at some point. It's made for timber framing. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So after maybe 5 or 10 minutes of work, you can see that we are, making progress down to the bottom of where the auger bits went to. I know a lot of people don't like cutting mortises. I don't know what it is about it. I sort of enjoy it. I guess it's just sort of thoughtless work. As long as you stay inside your marking lines, you really can't mess it up very much. I think you probably get the idea. Just sort of chisel away at it a little bit, and then flip it over and dump it out, and then do it all again. But each time that we chisel down, we make a lot of progress. I think the mortises take a little bit more time than cutting the tenons. I probably had 15 minutes of drilling by hand with a bracing bit, and then so far I've probably been chiseling for 15 minutes or so. Whereas you may have watched the tenon that will fit this joint took 29 minutes to cut. Most projects, though, don't require mortise and tenon joints this big. I'm getting down pretty close to my final depth. It just needs a little bit of cleanup. The mortise is still slightly thinner or narrower than what it should be at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cleaning that up some. That way I can get my chisel all the way into the bottom and then clean up the rest of that. Then I can continue to check myself as I go, because I know the mortise is the size of my chisel. The final size is. I think we're probably getting pretty close now, so let's empty out the waste. And then we'll take a look and see what we need to clean up further. So you can tell there that the majority of the waste that we have left to clean up is on the ends. The corners. The corners take the most time to get to. As I'm going, I'm also using my combination square to check the depth of the mortise. I know that my tenon is 3 inches long, so I want to make sure that my mortise is 3 inches deep, or a little more actually. So right there, we're right at 3 inches, so I'll try to go down just a little bit lower. I want the tenon to have plenty of room. And then on the ends, we have quite a bit more depth to go, but right in the middle, we're right about 3 inches. So the way I fit my tenons to the mortise is I generally leave the tenons a little bit thick. That way I can cut the mortise to the correct dimensions, and then I can take the tenon and see how it fits, and then gradually plane down the surface of the tenon enough that it will fit. And I can tell just by looking that it's not going to take very much planing at all for it to start to slide in. I'm really good on the ends of the tenon, and then I can tell I just need to take just a razor's edge off of this portion of the tenon, and I think it will slide in pretty easily. Okay, so I've got the tenon in my vise here, and I'm just going to take a few shavings off of that tenon, and hopefully that will allow it to fit into the mortise very snugly. Don't take too much. You can always take more off. Okay, once I know I'm close, then I go ahead and I put my tenon in the vise, and then we can put the base containing the mortise over the top of the tenon and see how it fits. I can tell it's a little tight, but I'm going to tap it a few times and see how it does. I think it's a little tight still, but I'm going to keep going until I feel like we're in danger of splitting the mortise. As long as it moves a little bit each time I hit it, I'm fairly happy. I'm actually pretty happy at that. That was the first attempt I made at fitting the mortise over the tenon. It's certainly not a bad fit at all, and it's very serviceable. I can tell that I'm not 100% square on the shoulders of the tenon, and I can see where I've left a little bit of my knife line. And then when I put my square on my reference face, I can see that there's a little bit of light between the base and the upright. And I think I can shave down on the shoulder a little bit on this side and square up the base a little bit more. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with that. Well, here it is, guys, the rough frame assembled. When we're finished, we'll have a wedge tenon that will tighten up the mortise and tenon joints on each end of the frame. The treadle wheel will be here, the headstock here, the tailstock will be in here and be movable. And then the chisel holder will be here, and then our pedal will be here. That's the first time that I've fit the entire frame together during this project is tonight with you. I did fit each joint individually as I was cutting each mortise and tenon. But this is the first time I've put the entire frame together. So anyhow, that's all the time we have for tonight, friends. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you're enjoying the channel, and be sure to leave me a thumbs up and a comment. And if you're not subscribed, consider doing so. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks again.